Welcome to the Estonian Cricket Weekly. I am Ragnar Hallik. Before we start, don't forget to like the video, subscribe and share it with your friends to help us spread Estonian cricket to the world. We have reached the end of 2022 Outdoor Domestic League with Tallinn Stallions being crowned champions of the T20 competition and Tallinn Strikers taking the title in the 40-over league. This week we will review both leagues, starting with 2022 BlufVPN T20 Estonian Premier League. Week 1 we saw Strikers and Hippos get off to a winning start before rain forced the afternoon match to be abandoned with no result. Highlights were Ramkishan taking 4 wickets for just 12 runs for Stallions against the Rising Stars, while Arslan Amjad scored 96 against Tartu in the Strikers' win. In Week 2, the Stallions recorded 2 wins. The Hippos continued their winning form and the Vikings got their first win of the season. Tartu's Romeo Tanna had the best performance of the week, with the figures of 4 for 12. The Strikers and Stallions remained unbeaten after Week 3, with the Vikings and Rising Stars also winning. Show-up was excellent for the Rising Stars, recording bowling figures of 4 for 18. However, the highlight was Tallinn Strikers openers, Arslan and Habib, scoring twin centuries in their win against Tartu's Wolves, posting a new record, Estonian T20 team total of 274. Week 4 saw Riders and Wolves securing their first win, but it was the Hippos win over Strikers that was the big story. Rudesh Shekaran picked up 4 wickets for the Hippos. However, it was the Riders' Tanvir Ahmed with the best performance of the week, with figures of 5 for 14, the 5th week of action, so the Hippos continue their 100% win record against Wolves. The Vikings, Tigers and Strikers were also victorious. Some good performance this week, with Stu Hook scoring 81 and not out from 39 balls for Hippos, and Said Efteka picking up 4 wickets for the Strikers. The star performance of the week, though, was Beshun Shakir from the Tigers, who bowled his team to victory with 5 for 5 from 4 overs. Week 6 was the last round before a 3-week break for international matches. United, Rising Stars and Strikers won, but it was the Tigers breaking Hippos' winning streak that was the big result of the week. Habib Khan scored 115 for the Strikers. However, it was Maidul Islam with the best performance, scoring 117 for the Rising Stars. The competition restarted in July, with Riders winning. United also played twice and won both games. Some good scores from the batters in Week 7, with the Stallions' Saif Rahman, United's Nad Riar, and the Riders' Anand Chandrappa, all scoring 69, although it was a bowler who took performance of the week, Agib Ayob from Tartu's Wolves, taking 5 for 31 from 4 overs. In Week 8, United had another double-header, winning the first but losing to Strikers in the afternoon match. The Stallions continued the Hippos' losing streak, and the Rising Stars demolished the Vikings. Sahil Shawan picked up 4 for 28 for United, but it was the Stallions' Saif Rahman's 133 not out against the Hippos that was this week's highlight. Week 9 was the last round before the World Cup qualifying tournament. United won twice, with the Strikers and Stallions both also picking up wins. Some massive performances this week, with the Strikers' Said Efteka recording 4 for 15, Stallions' Rifak Khan taking 4 for 8, and Saif Rahman scoring his 2nd century in a consecutive match. But it was Habib Khan's 120 from 59 balls that was this week's best performance. 3 weeks passed before the T20 competition restarted. Riders, Rising Stars and Strikers all won, but it was Tartu Cricket Club's first win of the year. That was this week's big result. Performance of the week goes to Arslan Amjad from the Strikers for his 75 runs from 45 balls. In the final round before the finals saw 3 teams in contention for 4th spot and the semi-final berth. United defeated the Rising Stars, securing 2nd spot and leaving 4th spot open for the winners of Hippos and Riders match. The Hippos won close game and booked their spot in the semi-finals. In the final match, United defeated the Stallions, who qualified in the 3rd place. Ayus Umad scored 80 from 50 balls for United against the Rising Stars, but a teammate, Nandriar, narrowly beat him by 2 balls, with 80 from 48 balls against the Stallion. Semi-finals saw the Strikers against the Hippos and United against the Stallions.
In the first T20 Semi Final, the Strikers took on the Hippos, and the Hippos won the toss and chose to bowl first. The Strikers started strongly with 53 runs scored from the first 5 overs before Max Sedgwick struck twice in the 6th, removing Arslan and Etisham. Habib Khan played a fantastic lone role, building 86 from 55 balls and took the score to 138 for the loss of 5 wickets. Some good hitting from the tail took the score up to 165 for 7. Ben Jones and Marco Vike provided some very solid opening partnership for the Hippos, with no wickets falling until the 13th over. When Ben Jones was dismissed for 48, the Hippos needed 70 runs from the final 48 balls. Dave Robson and Stu Hook both fell cheaply, and the Hippos could not maintain the required run rate, giving the Strikers an 18-run win and a spot in the final. Semi-final 2 saw United up against the Stallions. Stallions batted first and got off to a blistering start with 50 from the first 4 overs before United hit back with 2 quick wickets in the 5th. Zishan, Ram and Rafaq then continued the carnage, punishing the United bowling with boundaries to all corners of the ground. Murali dismissed Rafaq with a sharp caught and bowled from the final ball, but couldn't stop the Stallions posting an imposing 209 for the loss of 5 wickets. United knew they had to go hard from the start, but lost 3 wickets in the power play to leave them 55 for 3 from 6 overs. Angkor and Nan took the score to 115 from 11 overs before Angkor fell for 38 from 19 balls. From that point on, both runs and wickets came in quick order, and by the 18th, the required run rate had hit 20.5 with just 3 wickets remaining. A swashbuckling 33 from 26 from Murali wasn't quite enough, with United falling 30 runs short and the Stallions through to the final.
In the T20 Finals, the Strikers played the Stallions, and it was Strikers that batted first. Habib and Arslan were both out early, with the score on 35 leaving the Stallions on top. Majaru did his best to get Strikers back in the game with 37 runs from 32 balls, but constant wickets stopped them from posting the total they would have wanted, finishing with 141 for 9. For the Stallions, Aditya fell in the power play before Saif, and Zishan put on masterful display of T20 batting. Saif scored 80, not out from 48 deliveries. And when Zishan was dismissed for 40 from 33, the Stallions only required 15 runs for victory. Saif brought up the win with a 6 to secure the 2022 T20 title for the Tallinn Stallions. Once again, congratulations to the 2022 BlufVPN EPL T20 champions, the Tallinn Stallions.
It's filming.
Now we move on to the High 40-40 League. This year's international commitments meant the smaller and shorter 40-over competition was necessary, with 8 teams competing in 2 groups of 4. The top 2 sides after the group game would go through to the semi-final. In Group 1, we had Tartu, Tigers, United and Hippos, and Group 2 consisted of Riders, Rising Stars, Stallions and Strikers. The first week saw Group 2 kick off the action with 2 extremely close games. The Strikers narrowly beat the Stallions, and Rising Stars beat the Riders by just 7 runs. The Rising Stars, Tanbih Sarif and Manun Manan, both picked up 3 wickets, as did Rifaq Khan from the Stallions and Tarun Devalla from the Strikers. Archit Nigam from Riders scored 75 runs, but it was Chetia Ekanayake from the Stallions with 80 from 84 balls. That was the performance of the week. Week 2 saw the first match for Group 1. United beat the Tigers and the Hippos got the win against Tartu. Tartu's Manpreet Singh and Shashin Pushan from Tigers took 4 wickets each, but it was United's Anurag Singh with the best performance, scoring 96 not out before taking 4 wickets from 5 overs. Back to Group 2 for Week 3, with the Strikers beating Riders and the Stallions getting the win against Rising Stars. The Strikers' Habib Khan scored another century with 100 from 58 balls. But the highlight of the week was new record high score for any Estonian cricket competition. Saif Rehman from the Stallions became the first triple centurion, beating his previous record of 235 to score 300 from 144 balls. In Week 4, the Hippos had a big win over the Tigers and Tartu secured their first ever 40-over victory, beating United. Tartu's Manpreet Singh continued his good 40 overs form with 5 for 25 from 8 overs, but it was the Hippos' Tim Cross with career best figures of 5 for 16 that was the best performance of the week. The final round for Group 2 came in Week 5, and the Strikers secured top spot with a big win over the Rising Stars. The Stallions beat the Riders in a tight match to book a semi-final spot. The Rising Stars' Tanbir Sarif picked up 4 wickets, but highlight of the week goes to Strikers' Nu Sikander, who took 4 wickets for just 5 runs. Week 6 was the final chance for Group 1 to book a final spot, and 3 teams remained in contention. United beat the Hippos and Tartu defeated the Tigers to leave all 3 teams on 4 points with net run rate. Calculations required to decide the finalists. Tartu were extremely unlucky to miss out, finishing 3rd. The Hippos' Marko Vaik scored 58 runs, but it was Samoon Kwasi with figures of 4 for 22 for the performance of the week. The Stallions took on United in a semi-final 1. Last year's finalists, the Strikers, and the Hippos faced off in semi-final 2.
In the high 40-40 semi-final number 1, we saw United and the Stallions face off again. Stallions batted first and made a steady start, with the openers taking the score to 77 before Aditya fell to Murali. Bamukti fell cheaply before Chetaya and Saif put on a 194-run partnership for the 4th wicket. Chetaya fell for 51 and then Saif was finally dismissed for 195 from 125 balls, leaving the score on 295 with 3 overs left. The Stallions' middle order then enjoyed a couple of overs of hitting before finishing on 328 for 5. United found themselves needing nearly 9 runs and over and looked to make a quick start, but ended up losing their first 4 wickets for just 12 runs. 2 more wickets fell on the 6th. That was to leave them at 31 for 6 and giving Ram figures of 4 for 12. Murali and Ajit then combined for a 71-run partnership before Ajit was dismissed for 45. And then the wickets started to fall quickly again before heavy rain forced the game to be abandoned, with United on 111 for the loss of 9 wickets. Stallions were awarded the match and go through to the final. In the high 40-40 semi-final number 2 saw the Strikers against the Hippos. Hippos won the toss and batted first, losing Ben Jones early. Marko Vaik then continued his impressive form, scoring 62 before his dismissal, leaving the Hippos on 113 for 2. The middle order took the score to 172 for 5, with 10 overs remaining, but the wickets began to fall, and despite some good hitting from Kala, the Hippos were eventually bowled out for 219. The Strikers' openers opted for maximum attack as they flayed the Hippos to all parts of the ground. The first 100 runs was up in the 11th over, and by the time Habib was dismissed for 89 from 52 balls, the game was just about gone for the Hippos. Arslan fell shortly after for 68 from 41 balls, leaving the Strikers 53 runs to win from nearly 25 overs. A few wickets fell, but it was Marjarul who steadily chipped away at the target, and with the rain pelting down, Gull hit the winning runs to cap off a very impressive win for the Strikers, who will join the Stallions in the final.
The high 40-40 final saw Stallions take on the Strikers in a repeat of Saturday's T20 Finals. Strikers batted first and got off to a blistering start with the first 100 coming up in the 10 overs. Habib was dismissed for 42 from 31 balls, but Arslan and Elias continued the assault. When Arslan was dismissed for 119 of 80 balls, the total was 227 from 25 overs. Elias continued to find a boundary before he was finally dismissed for 68 from 62 balls. The remaining Strikers batters pushed the total to an imposing 321 for 7 from their 40 overs. The Stallions' chase started well before they lost Saif and Aditya in the same over. Zishan and Ram then steadied their innings with a calm 95-run partnership before they were also both dismissed in the space of 3 balls, with Zishan scoring 77 from 64 balls. Wickets fell quickly from this point on, with Said picking up 4 for 58 from his 8 overs. The last wicket fell in the 37th over, with the Strikers claiming a 65-run victory. Congratulations to Tallinn Strikers for winning back-to-back 40-over titles. This week we have 2 touring sides visiting us, plus a women's tournament coming up on Saturday. The tournament is open to all skill levels, so please contact development at estoniancricket.com if you would like to give cricket a try. After that, we have a short break, and then the indoor season begins on October 22nd. Lots of action still to come in 2022, and we hope you join us for all of it. Thanks to our sponsors, sportsbet.io, Hi.com, BlufVPN, Nordkan Beton, and HML Project Management for their continued support of Estonian cricket.